real, right?
Hey, the only way we could be is real, right,
That's
Michael?
exactly right.
Let's get this party started. And we are here with Pirate Broadcast, and I'm excited today to talk about a little bit of smiles, a little kindness, a little bit of just have some generosity in the world around helping others, being helpful to others, and enjoying what you're doing while you're doing it. And today I have Michael Ray. Good morning, Michael. How are you today?
Good morning, brother. I am sincerely thankful for having me on, man. Good to see you smiling.
Well, it's nice to have a new live resident on the Pirate Broadcast, and now you're officially a pirate. So we're here today to
Arg, right?
Arr. It's so funny because we were talking about this because I've been expanding my brand with the Pirate Broadcast, and as I have my my coffee mug here,
there you go.
And I'm looking at the idea because the pirate it's a twofold meaning. And it's because back in the days when you needed permission to broadcast and announce your name and be online and do live broadcast, if you didn't have a license, you were considered a pirate broadcast.
Amazing. Never knew that. Wow. I learned something.
Yeah. And so that's kind of the seed of opportunity that I started this broadcast, this pirate broadcast. And then also pirates are known to be, pirates were actually very organized. And everybody had a job and everybody knew what their job was.
Organized thievery.
Yeah. And you have treasure and you go after it, right?
That's exactly right.
It just happened to be somebody else's treasure.
I guess that's how you're more successful. You're organized, right?
Try to get organized. And so I want to talk to you about what is the seed of your whole mission, your Smile initiative, and some of the things. Talk a little bit about how you arrived at doing what you're doing with this right now. So I'm fascinated by this, and one of my taglines is "Smiles are free," and it's like, hey, it doesn't cost anything to make somebody's day a little better. So
I mean, you're exactly right. So for me, the genesis probably really started years ago before I even, as you just said, being a pirate, kind of organized things and really wanted to start making a difference and inspiring others, was the relationship I had with my 20-year-old daughter who has Down syndrome. What's unique about her is that obviously most with Down syndrome can speak. She is nonverbal. Now, nonverbal to us meaning 98, 99% of the time, it's either gibberish or she doesn't speak. But I've often felt the love and emotion through how we interact in smiles and laughter. And really on that journey with her, I would always ask her in playful moments, because I never heard the words, "I love you," which you always want to hear from your children. I've never heard those 3 words from my daughter.
Yeah.
So I would ask her, do you love daddy? How much do you love daddy? And it was the moments we shared in which, as I was going through challenges in life, it was that affirmation, but it was the affirmation through the simplicity of a smile.
Yeah.
So that had carried on for years. I found myself going through some continued challenges a couple of years ago. And it kind of then, I had a moment in which I was able to take this moment and kind of marry it with where I was in my life with my relationship with my daughter. And that moment happened to be, of all places, going through a fast food drive-through.
Wow.
In which, as we do in the course of our daily lives, and we don't realize it most of the time as we're navigating through the city and doing things, we have these short interactions with other human beings. And that particular late morning, as I was rolling through the Wendy's, that interaction touched my heart. It touched it enough that I actually pulled into a parking spot. And I guess I had an epiphany where I really felt like, if you have faith in your life, that God was trying to tell me something. And I was like, what do you want from me? And I wept. And as I took a couple of minutes to reflect on that, I felt compelled to get out of the car and go back to the window to tell the girl what that interaction meant to me.
Mm.
So I did, I laugh about it now. I guess I was that creepy dude. I mean, you never really want to be the guy walking back to the drive-through. But I did. I walked, waited for the cars to pull through. I walked up to the drive-through window, and of course, her natural reaction was, "What's wrong?"
Yeah.
And then I was like, "Well, that's the beauty in this. Absolutely nothing is wrong."
Yeah.
But I felt compelled enough to come back and tell you, thank you. Thank you for that short, less than 1 minute interaction brought some beauty, the smiles and laughter and energy to my day. So at that point, I didn't know what to do. After complimenting her, I said, "I feel compelled to take my picture with you." So
Mm.
I did. I actually, held the camera up right there at the drive-through and took a picture with Sean Trell. And, at that point, even though my journey with Smile Project Louisville started, there was no name. I really didn't know how I was going to organize it. It was just, a moment in which it made a difference in my morning. So as I had an opportunity to go home later and kind of reflect on it, I said, okay, you know what? That made a difference in my day. I'm going to start taking pictures with random people throughout the city. And that's the journey. I started going, okay, if my daughter can make a difference in my life smiling, I'm going to start smiling with random strangers throughout the city. And that carried on for about 6 weeks. And then it kind of hit me going, well, this is some kind of smile project.
Yeah.
I kind of really mulled over the name only because I didn't, for me, there wasn't going to be finality. And sometimes when you think of project, it's like, okay, there's a start, there's an end date, but there wasn't. And then, Louisville happens to be, I say, one of the biggest small cities in the country. It's kind of a hidden gem.
Yeah.
So even though I had aspirations of going, this could be much bigger than Louisville, I stayed with Louisville because what it has meant to me in my life. So that's what it was. I called it Smile Project Louisville. I continued navigating throughout the city, taking pictures with random strangers. And really, as I introduced myself and gave them my elevator pitch, I told them, I was trying to really spread love
Yeah.
and changing attitudes and behaviors through smiles. And I would tell them briefly about my daughter. And, I always ask them for a couple of really cool things about them. So then when I posted my pictures on social media, somebody would learn something about a stranger and they would see two total strangers hugging and smiling.
Yeah.
So that carried on for about the first year until, and really I have a couple of taglines. The first thing is, be the reason someone smiles today.
Mm-hmm.
And that you can also be so happy that when others see you, they become happy too. So I decided that I was going to be a little bit more intentional now, and I was going to introduce kindness, that we were going to deliver smiles through random acts of kindness.
Mm.
And never knowing, kind of as my platform and the ability to inspire, and really touch the hearts of so many strangers as we were growing and really gaining momentum, never knowing the element of kindness,
Yeah.
and really the impact it could have on others.
It's huge.
It's amazing. And a lot of, what we do wraps around actually giving small gifts to strangers. But I tell people, kindness is free. It's, again, when you talk about the simplicity of a smile, it's the simplicity of the act in which, it's holding the door for another human being.
Yeah.
And then you could choose to smile and say, hello. Doesn't mean you have to have a 20-minute conversation with somebody, but again,
No.
just engaging with people to let them know on some simple level you care.
And it's the simplicity of it that really makes an impact. It's the uncomplicated transaction of here is some generosity for this moment, or just an act or a smile or just something to make your day a little brighter. And like you said, it doesn't have to be complicated. It could be opening a door. It could be, moving a shopping cart out of the way. That's one of the things that I always go back to. It's like, the parking lots full of shopping carts. If
That's
we all
right.
just took one back with us, it wouldn't be, we would be helping a few people, right?
And you're right. And a lot of times we think of kindness that it actually has to be, something. When I say more value, it's money related. But more often than not, it has nothing to do with money.
It has
As we
nothing to do.
navigate through, through our daily lives, and the ability to make people smile through these random acts of kindness exist every day,
Well,
in our lives.
and one of the things that I find so fascinating is that because we're on social media and there's so many things to distract us with, that it's oftentimes, the people we care about most are the ones that are searching just for our time. It's not
Most certainly.
anything more than that, and with your daughter, it's, she's full of joy just being your daughter, just being there. And I know that, we all have struggles, we all have challenges in life. And if you have someone around you that will accept you for what you are and who you are, and you are fully engaged in the opportunity to have, some time together,
Yes.
that is a huge benefit. And, I always say every day is a gift. Every single day is a gift, and we don't know, tomorrow is not promised, and we don't know when our time is over. So we have to understand that there are people out there aching and starving for just a little bit of time. And, you can actually, find a way to provide people with that every day.
Sure.
Surround yourself with that.
You said something that, that makes total sense. And that is, kindness does really start at home.
Mhm.
It starts with your family, starts with your friends. And, when you brought in my daughter, for me, and that's, as I have shared, the smiles and the kindness in my relationship with my daughter, I've tried to really, I don't want to call it preaching, but just to inspire people to understand.
Mhm.
And here we use the same term again, simplicity.
Yeah.
We have a tendency in life to really overcomplicate things. And when we do that, we find stress,
Yeah.
we find all of those emotions. And I've never seen that in my daughter.
No.
She has she's been given this gift through this disability that even though she can't communicate with really other human beings outside of her smiles, that she finds joy and happiness in just the simplicity of life.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a
You
lesson
know,
for all of us in that. There's a lesson in that. And it's just amazing to watch. And like the people that are joining us here, Michael, I mean, I just want to give a shout out to everybody because I have so much gratitude for everybody that comes and listens to these conversations. Rachel, thank you. Good morning. Gabriel, I always appreciate you being here. Wendy, thank you so much. Vicky, love that you're here. I listened to Zach's episode 51 yesterday. We were talking about Zach. She has a podcast. Vicky O'Neill has a podcast. Arcot, yeah, namaste. Arcot, Sherry Lawley, glad you're back. You're starting to feel better. I hope you're well. And also, this is what it's about. Lori Knutson, good morning. I love these conversations we're having. Derek Monroe, and also Kenyatta. Thank you, Kenyatta. You're awesome. Appreciate you. And if you're not connected to Michael, connect with Michael. Tell him Russ sent you, so you can actually have a few more connections there. Sherry, there's another Sherry. Phil Singer. Your daughter is a beautiful person, she says. So
thank you. These
are some of the things that the simplicity of all this, Michael, is what I really love and enjoy. And, I'm here in Arizona and I'm, helping my parents out. My dad's 91, has dementia, and my mom's, got some health issues. She's 83. and I moved from Texas to be here. I have a son in
I
Texas,
commend you.
and
Yeah.
and it's really about, enjoying the people you have around you, and the fact that when you wake up in the morning and you're here, and you have the basics of life, and there's so many people that are hurting right now, and if you turn on the news and watch anything, there's nothing worth saving, and it's just like, let's
It's
just
overwhelming. Yeah.
it's overwhelming, and
Yeah.
so it's not to ignore it. However, let's acknowledge it with a bit of kindness. Let's acknowledge it with combating this bad news all day with something that is going to make it matter, even if it's just to one or two people a day. And so, what's the longer term goal for the Smile Project Louisville, and how do you see this evolving, or is it something that it just kind of moving along at its own pace and its own rate? And because I've seen some of the videos, you're giving
Yeah.
away gifts, and the release of the balloons, and some of that stuff, it really touched my heart. And I want to know how people can get involved or engaged to the degree that they can, or what
Yeah,
kind of a structure do you have in place like that?
That's a great question. I think the first 14 months, I started in, I guess it was like early April of 2018, as I was
Mhm.
taking pictures before I really started introducing the kindness element, which was late last summer. It was just casual, slow momentum.
Yeah.
In that, I guess the one thing that I've learned on this journey, and then I'm going to answer that question, and that is one person can make a difference.
Absolutely.
But I was patient. I tell people on my journey, I used to be one of the most impatient human beings on this planet. And I think the mortgage industry, I worked in that industry for a long time. But yet again, I often talk about the things that I have learned from my daughter.
Yeah.
And that's something else, patience. So as far as the direction we're going, I guess I never knew then that momentum, where maybe we went from crawling to a casual walk, would actually start running and sprinting. And a lot of that had to do when I made a decision to try a random act of kindness, and then kind of share it with the world. And then it's really picked up some steam. And then I guess in the back of my mind, I thought that if it ever got big enough, we would turn into a nonprofit. So I have all these really good problems now, to where I'm trying to figure it all out, but I probably should have tried to figure it out 6 months ago. So I can't lose, the will and the love to inspire people,
Yeah.
But people keep reaching out. So it's having the conversations now of turning into a nonprofit, so people and companies can get involved on a bigger level. It's like, why don't I have a website?
Yeah.
But that was never really, some of these things were never really the end game. It was sharing the relationship I had and really trying to inspire and change one person at a time. So it's now trying to do these small things, and never really thinking that even though I had a presence on LinkedIn up to 3-4 months ago, I was a virtual nobody, because I really focused a lot of my time and energy more on, Facebook and Instagram, even though that platform existed and I occasionally posted things, but it was more professional. And then I realized and started consuming a lot of incredibly valuable content, from people like yourself, that started really inspiring me. And that's the beauty of LinkedIn, that I was like, this is slightly out of control.
Yeah.
So a lot of it is really now trying to figure that out. And at first, all of this was self-funded. So when I would go do random acts of kindness and I would give strangers, $50 or $100, it was me. But then as people see this locally, they're like, how do I get involved? Hey, if I send you $50, can you go to so-and-so because they're struggling? And I often tell people, we smile because life's hard. It's not easy, so I'm really actively trying to figure out how I deliver smiles to people who are not as less fortunate. that they don't need,
Yeah.
money, so it's continually to evolve. Um, and these are great opportunities, as I've connected with people on LinkedIn and as I meet with strangers around town to sit down. I just try to take one idea, every time, connect one more dot to
Yeah.
build something incredibly special.
Well, and I think you have, it's unique because there are a lot of people that are willing to share, and they just don't know how to
I
do
don't
it.
know
And
how.
sometimes people need permission and they need an example like yourself to say, I don't know if I want to put myself out there, and they see you putting yourself out there, and maybe they'll say, "Hey, Michael, here, I want to share this with you so you can help someone else. I don't know who it is. It doesn't really matter who it is. I just want to share this with you so you can go deliver it to somebody to make an impact on their life."
It's okay to be vulnerable. It's
Yeah.
okay to make mistakes. Look, none of us are perfect. I decided for the first time, because as I've done now dozens and dozens of random acts of kindness, I sometimes have to decompress because the moment really moves me. And I had one recently. I went and took balloons and a gift card to a young lady with Down syndrome. And I didn't cry in the moment, but then when I got to Starbucks and I was putting it all together and I really had a chance to watch it again for myself, I started just sobbing,
Yeah.
absolutely sobbing. And I knew in that moment I wanted to be vulnerable and put it out there because it's okay. It's okay to cry. When
Yeah.
these moments move us,
Yeah.
it's a beautiful thing.
It's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing. And uh, yesterday I had, yesterday was hard. I recently lost a son to suicide, and so
Sorry to
yesterday
hear
was
that,
his
man.
birthday, and that's part of the reason. That's a part of motivation that I have in my life, is the fact that life is short and you don't know how long you're going to have it. And so this has made a difference in people's lives. And I just want to applaud you, and I want to commend you for doing what you're doing. And we all have an innate ability to help others. And we have to find that vulnerability and the opportunity to actually be in place and do what we feel is necessary at the time in order to accomplish those goals and help others. I mean, it doesn't cost us anything to, like you say, smile, go into the grocery store and lift something off the top shelf for somebody that's, not able to reach.
It's
It doesn't, it could be simple things. And
yeah.
people, I think, make it so complicated. And like you're saying, it doesn't necessarily require a nonprofit to help someone else out
It
along
doesn't.
the street.
It really doesn't. It's
And
and people ask me too, because I've got to a point within this community that um, I'm a little more recognizable now
yeah,
because thousands of people, locally. So one of the first questions I get asked when I run into somebody is, when don't you smile? Do you find, of course I do. I find those moments. I'm a human being.
yeah,
But I do find myself because, again, a lot of times we talk about that mindset, is
yeah,
that I've just created this mindset where maybe at first it was more intentional with strangers and now it's just natural.
yeah,
So for me, even though I don't take a picture, it's like checking out at Kroger's. It's a local grocery store. I'm going through the self-checkout, and as I turn, when the lady, at the U scan's watching you, I find myself giving her a high five or a fist bump. And then she has
yeah,
again, it's not even about taking a picture, but has a moment, she's like, who is this goober? And we're just laughing. But again, it's just the ability from one stranger to another
yeah.
to just make a small difference. And as I've told people, and part of the reason why I started is because we don't know what that stranger is going through in life.
No,
You
and,
know,
and that small interaction, or having someone else observe that small interaction, can make a difference in their day.
yeah.
It can make a difference in, yeah, and I believe in this whole idea that we're all connected. I mean, we're all connected, and that
Most certainly.
that effort and that that investment in making someone else a little bit happier today is going to travel. It's traveling right now, and just like this conversation, we have an opportunity. I don't know. There's probably a few people here watching today, and I don't have thousands. I'm not a big political or, celebrity or anything like
Sure.
that. However, if we make a difference on somebody's attitude in how they go throughout their day and they think about, okay, well, what can I do to contribute? And it's the seed starts planted, the planet, it's just like, let's water it a little bit. Let's watch this grow. And just because you don't know where you're going right now doesn't mean that you can't carry other people along with you down the road.
Oh, you're exactly right.
Yeah.
Exactly right.
So
I often tell people too, thankfully, that I feel like I am blessed with a personality that I don't really have many comfort zones, so with that being said, my heart is open to constantly engage with strangers. And sometimes that's hard for people. That may be introverts and opening up. But again, it goes back to that one person making a difference. And, just saying hello, smiling, it's all these simple acts that we do through the course of our lives. And it's every day.
Yeah. Vicky O'Neill asked a great question. And I want to talk about this before we get away here,
Yeah.
Michael, because I think there's a lot of people choose not to smile. And for myself, in my experience, I know there's a lot of people that are either bitter or cynical.
Very much so. Yeah.
And I think that they've been hurt in some way, and those are the ones that need the most kindness, because they've just made a decision to be bitter rather than better. Anytime something happens to us, we have an opportunity to either, learn from it or own it and have it chew us up on the inside.
Most certainly. And it can chew you up.
Yes, absolutely. I've seen it firsthand, and it's tragic and it's toxic. And as much as I love people sometimes in that situation, I have a tendency to avoid a lot of toxic people, for extended periods of time, because it's I don't think it's healthy.
Well, no, and you're right. And look, the reality of it is, and I often say, smiling and kindness is contagious.
Yeah.
But so is toxicity. If you continue to put yourself in that environment, you're going to grab a hold of it at some point. It's going to start to become you. So
yeah. It's not worth it. Life is too short. That's the way I look at it. Life is too short to be bitter. Let's be better, and let's share that with other people, and share a few free smiles, right? It's like
they are free, brother.
They are free. I can take one down, pass it around, and the next thing you know, I got another one all over my face. It's all over my face.
It is, it's it's the beauty. I'll go back to the same grocery store. I had a situation a couple of months ago as I was walking out, and again, for me, a lot of this is faith-based, and I feel like I'm getting taps on the shoulder by the Holy Spirit trying to talk to me. And as I was in the parking lot, I happened to look over and I see these two African-American, women chatting. And I said, all right, God, what do you want me to do? You want me to say hi, give them a high five? You want me to go up, take a picture? And all of a sudden, as I walked up, within those few seconds, all it was is I put my arm around a total stranger and I looked her in the eye and I said, when's the last time a white guy put his arm around you? And then she looked up at me and she said, never, and it's about damn time. And then she looked back at me and smiled and laughed and goes, and at least he smells good. And truly, I gave her my name and I said thank you and walked away. And it probably wasn't even 30 seconds, but it's just, I feel like I have this ability, and God has blessed me with an opportunity to touch people's hearts. And I don't know what journey that lady and her friend were on, but, and that it's okay.
Well, you changed the trajectory of their day for sure. And they'll have stories to tell forever.
Because she's going to go home and go, you're never going to guess what happened in the parking lot at Kroger's.
Oh, that's a beautiful story.
Yeah.
So,
And
Michael,
it touched me too, the ability to connect again, regardless of skin color, just to connect with other human beings,
yeah.
yeah.
Well, I'm one of those people that starts conversation in the line at the grocery store. I'm at Kroger talking to strangers.
I'm very bad. I'll look up to the person. What's up?
Yeah.
It's like taboo. Like you're in an elevator.
Yeah,
You're not supposed to look at him or smile or laugh.
There's no reason not to start a conversation, and people think it's like social anxiety taking place. Like, we're just, hey, I'm the same sunshine landed on me.
That's all it is. And I was a few weeks ago. I was in Boston, and I was in a Uber. And as my son and I were getting out, it took a moment to process it, but it was like, this is so true. The guy turned around and smiled to me and said, "Have a nice life." And I got out of the car laughing, and I looked at my 13-year-old son, and I'm like, you know what? We'll never see that guy again. And I really appreciate that he wants me to have a nice life.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, Michael, this has been a pleasure, an honor, and I'm so grateful for you taking the time out of your day and sharing a few smiles, a couple of stories, and a little bit of laughter today, just to brighten the day up a little bit more. And so if there's one thing you want to leave with people today, plant a seed, share the message, what would it be today?
I think the biggest impression that I'm trying to make to people now is going back to the singular thing, and that is one person. One person can make a difference, because it's, I'm blessed that I have a platform now that I can inspire hundreds or thousands, but really it's about touching one other human being. And if one person can do that, and then it's the ripple effect. So one person can truly make a difference.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
And all
Thanks
the
for having me on,
gratitude.
brother. I appreciate it.
Yeah. And all the gratitude in the world for everybody that joined in. Wendy, Arcot, Sherry, Lori, Angie, Gabriel, all of the people that show up every day and support the Pirate broadcast, all the gratitude in the world. And it means a lot to me. And I want to make sure that I continue to share these messages and these conversations, because it's important. And go about your day, because kindness is cool. Smiles are free. And Michael, you enjoy your day.
We love you.
Love you back, man. Take care, brother.
All right. Thanks, man.